starts and ends with Mangaung's management and leadership to uphold such ethos, to build a resilient and governance strong institution that will be able to leverage on this strength to attract private finance and uphold professional practices that will maintain and upkeep the asset invested to meet its full life cycle and complete return on investment. We remain committed to supporting Mangaung in finding sustainable ways to meet its social, economic, and financial needs. It cannot do this alone. We need the private sector and its investments in local communities. Recently, SALGA supported Mangaung in developing a new economic development strategy and the investment plan. The primary aim of this strategy is to unlock economic opportunities and accelerate investment in Mangaung, positioning the metro as a hub for innovation, entrepreneurship, and growth. Some of the key objectives of this strategy include, number one, identifying economic sectors that capitalize on Mangaung's unique competitive edge, creating a favorable business environment that supports both current business and attracts new investments. Thirdly, aligning our local economic development efforts with national and provincial goals to ensure a shared growth and development path. Fourthly, addressing challenges within the informal trading and ensuring that small businesses are sustainable and competitive. Fifthly, identifying key investment opportunities that align with our national long-term economic vision. Through these efforts, the municipality must create an enabling environment for a vibrant and dynamic economy that will not only benefit business, but also improve the lives of our residents by creating jobs, enhancing infrastructure, and ensuring better services for all. We have come here this morning to wish you well in your discussions and debates, and we look forward to the positive outcomes of this extraordinary session of your economic development. As we all put our shoulders on the wheel to uplift the country's economic trajectory, let us find practical measures to make sure that Mangaung deliver on its developmental agenda. In conclusion, let me borrow from the wisdom of King Solomon in his Ecclesiastes writings. Ironically, the mayor's name is Solomon. So let me borrow from the wisdom of King Solomon. And this is what he had to say. I have observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner does not always win the race, and the strongest warrior does not always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead a successful life. It is all decided by chance, by being at the right place at the right time. You, the people of Mangaung, are in the right place at the right time. Seize the moment. I thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Provincial Chairperson of SALGA and the Speaker of Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. Yes, indeed, we agree with you in principle that we are here to create a favorable business environment in the metro. Without wasting more time, please allow me to call Mayor Elsabi Rockman, as she will be representing the Premier of the Free State, to come and give us a message of support. Let's just switch me on. It's fine.
Okay. Good morning. Honorable Executive Mayor and Deputy Mayor, let me acknowledge the protocol that has been established that will save us at least 5 minutes. As the Program Director has indicated, I'm representing the Premier. That does not mean I'm the Acting Premier. I do not have powers and functions of an acting premier. I must just speak to everyone. Now, today's gathering provides us with a very necessary platform to use our innovative and creative thinking to shape the future of the Mangaung Metro as a collective. We can argue and we can all agree that proactive partnerships and collaboration with all stakeholders across the public, private, and non-governmental sector is essential for us to achieve the vision of a prosperous Mangaung. Next week, Mangaung will be hosting the first of the 2025 G20 initiatives, and this one is on the bioeconomy. And the initiative forms part of the Science, Technology and Innovation track of South Africa's presidency of the G20 this year. And in the briefing note that has been sent to all delegates, it reminds us that Mangaung, and Bloemfontein specifically, is the judicial capital of South Africa. It's the capital city of our province. And it reflects that Bloemfontein has such renowned academic and judicial institutions, as well as a rich cultural heritage. But Mangaung is more than Bloemfontein. It also brings us the rich cultural heritage of the Barong Seleka of Tabanshu, the vibrancy of Botshabelo, the rural tranquility and beauty of areas such as Wepener, de Wetstorp, Van Stadensrus, and Soutpan. And the common thread that holds all of these areas together is the passion of our people and the value of our people and the quality of life that our people desire to have. Now, these are some of the strong building blocks that lay the foundation on which the Investment Summit can build a future vision of Mangaung. On Friday, the Honourable Premier will also deliver her first fully fledged State of the Province address since our elections last year. We anticipate that the State of the Province address will speak to investment opportunities and what the Free State Government has been and will continue to do to unlock those opportunities. We know that one of the inherent strengths of the Free State is the centrality of our province and the many opportunities that this presents. But our challenge has been to translate that potential into realistic and achievable programs to the benefit of the broader Mangaung community. The summit has brought together some of the best intellect and experience from across the country. Whilst drawing on that collective strength, we must equally challenge ourselves to explore new ways to approach old and new challenges. Let us not underestimate the value that the youth brings to the investment space. We must embrace the new ideas that will unlock the potential of the fourth industrial revolution that is fundamentally changing the way we live, work and relate to each other. We all know that the last few years have not been easy. Our country and province saw an economic downturn, increasing poverty, rising unemployment and disruption of livelihoods. But there are signs that the tide is turning. We are slowly beginning to rebuild our economy with projections of economic growth to steadily begin to improve. And this is due to the falling interest rates, improving economic climate, low inflation, and increasing the investment pipeline in our province. The urgency of the moment requires us to accelerate the implementation of the National Development Plan that gives meaning to the Free State Growth and Development Strategy. This strategy identified the Mangaung Development Corridor that focuses on the connection between Tabanshu, Botshabelo and Bloemfontein, as well as the relationship with Lesotho as one of our key economic and investment enablers. It is the largest trade corridor that requires significant infrastructure development to improve trade, logistics, public transport, skills development and the knowledge economy. Some of the major projects that have been identified as part of the Mangaung Development Corridor includes the Vista Park development, the N8 Corridor, the Botshabelo Industrial Park, the Mangaung Airport Development Node, and the development of an agri-park. We must equally not forget that Mangaung, as much as it is a metro, has a strong agricultural sector that presents many opportunities in both traditional agriculture as well as urban agriculture and youth and agriculture processing. I hope that you approach the Investment Summit with enthusiasm to unlock the potential of Mangaung and a commitment to ensure the implementation and realization of your resolutions. So let us take the 2 days to talk and proceed to act after. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC Elsabi Rockman. I nearly said comrades. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to also remind you again, once again, that this summit, the municipality indeed is attempting to identify economic sectors that build on the Mangaung Metro's strength, and to identify infrastructure development needs that must ignite economic development. We are here to do nothing but to discuss investment opportunities in the municipality, identify interventions that could ensure that small, medium, macro and micro sectors is sustainable, innovation and competitive. As per the program that I have, not the one that you are having, we are on item that speaks about exhibition and walkabout. As we go out now to the exhibition centers, can we allow the leadership to go out first, and then we will also, we'll do simultaneous programs. We'll do exhibition walkabout and take a tea break. Our tea break will be held at Floriet Hall. When you go to your left, it's inside the Bram Fisher building. Thank you. Can we be back at 11:30? Thank you. Right.
We are moving towards the second part of our program. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving towards the second part of our program. Let us give a warm thank you to our previous program director, MMC, Mayor Fiyomosal. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Councillor Ntombi Nhlapo. I'm the MMC responsible for planning and human settlement, and I will be your program director for part 2 of this session. Let us thank our political leadership in the previous session that actually set the tone and gave us very appreciated messages of support towards this investment summit. So now, on a lighter note, before we get to session 2, the first thing when I arrived this morning, my bosses said I look like an air hostess. So some have been agreeing to say I look like an air hostess. So my response was I will receive it once I start owning an airline. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to reintroduce myself as Ntombi Nhlapo, and I will be your air hostess for this voyage that we will be taking into in the second session. So ladies and gentlemen, you are on flight Mangaung Metro Municipality, and our vision or the mandate of this flight is a globally safe and attractive city to live, to work, and to invest. That is the vision of the city. So all of us on board have a ticket that has brought us here together. On this voyage, we are moving towards a roadmap towards an inclusive economy. That is the theme of the economy. That is the theme of the investment summit. And if you are here for any other reason, you don't have a choice but to travel with us towards this inclusive economy that this investment summit seeks to achieve. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, just so that I alert you before I finish my flight attendance, the seat that you are sitting in, remember, I'm the one who's supposed to usher you to your seat. So you are at the right of the epidemic of this country. Remember, we are in the central. You are at the judicial capital of the country, which is in Mangaung. You are at the economic hub of the Free State. All in all, you are right at the heart of it all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, please keep your seats, your seatbelts intact as we are about to take on this flight on this second session, but keep your wallets open. Ensure that you have no distractions, but ensure that you pay attention for the opportunities that the following presentations are going to give to this meeting. The presentations that we're going to receive, it will be Mangaung investment opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, which I'm asking that we pay attention to the presentation so that as investors we are aware what is it that the Metro has for us and why we're here. It will also be followed by a presentation on spatial planning and infrastructure program, those which the executive mayor has indicated. Some of the challenges we have in infrastructure will be presenting to you in detail so that you can start choosing, you see, where your wallet agrees in that sense. And then the other one, the last presentation will be from, it will be financing economic development from our CFO, which she will be now tabling the proposed or the investment summit incentives that the city would like to bring to your attention. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to call upon our city manager, Mr. Selomore, to come and give us the Mangaung investment opportunities. Can we give him a warm round of applause? City manager.
but it's not. Oh, is it on? Okay. We are used to testing 1, 2, 1, 2. So when it's in your pocket, you are not certain if it's actually functioning. The Executive Mayor, Gregory Ntatisi, Minister of DITC, Pakstau in absentia, the Premier of the Free State, Mangaung Matai in absentia as well, heads of missions represented here and on the link, the MECs present here, councillors, members of mayoral committee, the deputy mayor, protocol, my apology, heads of departments around here, our guests, officials of the Metro, the Provincial Secretary of the African National Congress, I'm informed is here, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. Thanks, Program Director. I'm going to take you through a presentation on investment opportunities in Mangaung. My name is Silomore. I'm the city manager. We always say the big statement that we make about investment opportunities, despite us coming here to host a conference, the investment opportunities is the city itself. There are a lot of issues that we think we'll need to correct as the city to get the investment wheel going. I think my leaderships who presented before myself, they touched on some of these issues. So by this conference, I think as outlined in the objectives of the summit by the previous speakers, we are saying Mangaung is ready for investments, despite its other challenges. In the earlier interview I did with SABC, I said, we as the city come from a very dark past. We are continuing to take challenges head on currently. Some of the challenges are ongoing, but as challenges emerge, we take them head on, but we are ready for investments. Okay, the overview of my presentation, the outline of my presentation is the overview of the city, the place where we would want you to invest in, the economic profile of Mangaung Metro, as well as investment opportunities profile. Our vision is a globally safe and attractive city to live, work, and invest in. We don't want to be a city where you just pass by, you just go into a petrol station, or if you are late to go somewhere, you just put in petrol. We are a city worthy of investment. I think the Executive Mayor outlined some of the elements of why we say we are a city worthy of investments. We've got good financial systems supporting business and government services. We've got skilled and educated workforce with 3 main tertiary institutions, the University of the Free State, the Central University of Technology, as well as Motheo TVET. Of course, there are other institutions of higher learning in the city, both at private and to some extent at public sector. So we've got that. We are at that level. We've got the diverse cultural heritage with an urban-rural setting. Because we are a middle city, we are a center city, we are likely to attract people from all walks of life. We've got access to various measures of transport, the air, the road, as well as rail links to harbors. Almost everyone that wants to get to anywhere goes via Mangaung. In one way or the other, the main roads do cross across Mangaung. We've got ample prime and strategic land parcels. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? We are a city with ample and prime strategic land parcels. Please bring your money. The colleagues will talk to some elements of this, investor support, as well as incentives. So about Mangaung itself, Mangaung means place of cheetahs. Mangaung, not Mangaung. Mangaung. So we've got 7 geographical towns, namely Bloemfontein, Botshabelo, Tabanchu, Diversdorp, Wepener, Van Stadensres, as well as Sulpan. Bloemfontein is the administrative capital of the Free State and the judicial capital of South Africa. We are one of the 3 capitals in the country. Largest metropolitan municipality by land and size. 9,899 square meters, so we are very huge. We may not have a huge population, but geographically we are a huge metro with lots of investment opportunities. We've got about 51 wards as a municipality. The province is located at the center of South Africa, and Mangaung is centrally located within the Free State, at the heart of it all. I want to emphasize that one, at the heart of it all. We are not where people just pass. We want to be at the heart of it all, the center of everything that is good in this province and in this country. There is the map. You can see geographically, we are very big as the city, as the metro. Population-wise, we've got about 811,000 people residing in the metro, of which working population is about 68.2%. We've got officially about 229,426. But if we include informal settlements and other unregistered settlements, our estimate is that we could be around 300,000, more or less, in terms of households. Average household size is about 3.5 per household. Formal dwellings is 90.1%. In terms of gender parity, 52.5% of people residing in Mangaung are female, with 47.5% being male. So we are largely female-oriented type of population in Mangaung. So we've got females in the majority. In terms of race, the black Africans is 87.9%. The white population is about 7.8%. The colored population is about 3.8%. And the Indian and Asian is about 0.4%. In terms of the economic profile, we've got the tertiary sector as the largest contributor to the gross value add within Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality at 87.3%. So that's the largest sector in Mangaung. Of course, we would want to bring some balance there. That is why we are calling this type of summit. The secondary sector contributes a total of 9%, and the primary sector contributes only 3.7%. So we would want to bring balance in terms of these statistics. In terms of the GVA by broad economic sector, unfortunately the numbers have not been allocated there, but you can see community service is the biggest, finance, trade, and transport, and other sectors are contributing minimally in terms of GVA of Mangaung. But the community services remains the biggest contributor. On average, the city contributes about 40% to the Free State province. We are the biggest. We may have a lot of our own challenges, but we are the biggest contributor to the Free State province GDP and about 2% to the national GDP. I think it has actually declined. We used to be around between 2 and 3 in between, but we are now stabilized at around 2%. The province contributes about 5% overall. So as a province and as a metro, our contribution to the GDP is next to nothing, and we would want to improve on that. The metro is the largest employer in the Free State with availability of skilled workforce. Okay, here are the numbers. The community service sector is the largest, accounting for about 36.2% of the total GVA. The finance sector contributes the second most at 25.5%. The third largest sector is trade sector with 15.1%. The balance I was talking about, we would want to see the trade sector taking a bit of attention, taking a bigger chunk in terms of the contribution to the metro's economy. I have said when I started, it's not only about us hosting a summit. How ready are we as an institution, as a metro? I can say we are investor ready. And I'm saying the biggest investment opportunity is getting your governance and institutional systems in place. I think many of you would know that, in particular, the period from 2021, I would say later, 2022-23, the metro had a very unstable governance with motions of no confidence flying left, right, and center, disturbing the stability in terms of governance. But now we have stabilized. So I'm saying the biggest opportunity that we can grant to you is getting our governance and our institutional systems in place. No one wants to put their money where there are no systems in place. People would say Mangaung is bankable. Then you know you have hit the right note. But if people continue to question particularly the institutional and governance elements, of course, to a large extent, the financial systems, the financial management systems as well are very critical. But you can never get to that stage unless if you've got your governance right. So Mangaung has stabilized these key areas at both political and administrative level. Mangaung has a permanent mayor, chief whip, deputy mayor, and speaker. As I've said, it used to be motion of no confidence, acting municipal manager, acting mayor, with changes having potential at any given time. Same year, Mangaung appointed its entire senior management corps, the city manager, and all other senior managers. We only appointed the CFO and the head of project management office in 2024. That is significant in that now you've got institutional stability. You've got people in positions who are not called acting. And no one wants to put their money in a systems of Hollywood where everyone else is acting. We are in process, of course, of filling other critical positions. Mangaung has a functioning governance system with council and its committees sitting regularly to provide political leadership and oversight. I can assure you that the council sits regularly, its subcommittees, portfolio committees sitting regularly. So we've got a very functioning institution, which is, as I've reflected, we have a stable governance environment. When you bring your money to Mangaung, you are bringing it to a very stable institution. Now, ladies and gentlemen, where you need to put your money in. What are the investment opportunities available for Mangaung? Of course, our intention and the intention of provincial government, the N8 corridor development. We have been singing this song, but we have not necessarily moved at the pace that we would want to move. But we are saying N8 corridor development is open. It's a nodal development corridor linking the 3 urban nodes of Mangaung, Bloemfontein, Botshabelo, and Tabanchu. The N8 development corridor. There's been plans, there's been thinking around that corridor. It's a very strategic corridor served by national road, rail, and air transport facilities. So we are calling yourselves to come and invest in this very strategic nodal point, as reflected on the maps. There is N1, N6, N8 around the Bloemfontein area. There is N8 in the Botshabelo Tabanchu route, which links also to Lesotho. So the N8 corridor development, as I explained, the strategic nodes along the corridor are the Bloemfontein CBD, where we are open for retail office parks. We also have the intermodal transport facility, as well as the train station. So our CBD, I think most of the CBDs in the country are going a bit down, but we have also established a war room in our city that will also enhance our capacity to link with whoever has an interest in investing in our CBD. We want a lively CBD. We don't want a CBD that is dilapidated and that is neglected. The golf course and raceway node is along the N8 route for leisure, for recreation, mixed residential and tourism opportunities. We want to grow that site, and we want to make that site a big site, particularly for leisure and recreation. There are, as I will reflect, there are pockets of land and there are pockets of development along that route. It's also a Transnet area for logistics, freight center, and warehousing. When we met with Transnet, they also indicated that's where they also repair some of their locomotives. The Bram Fisher International Airport Precinct, of course, that's our airport, our air transport, our cargo, tourism, hospitality, and light industry. So we also have the airport development node, where we are desiring, when completed, to be a mixed development node for a hotel, international conference center, and a mixed residential. Some of the development has already kicked in, but there is still an expectation and a hope, of course, that people will come, yourselves will come, and bring investments into this strategic area. There is Mandela View, which is a residential development. Bloem Industria, industrial development zone. Some of this, the buildings there and the land there is unoccupied, which is central, which can be central for us to revitalize the economy of this city. The Rasfontein Dam, which is ripe for ecotourism. The Botshabelo industrial area, for industrial and warehousing. It used to be active in prior years, but now it's a bit dull. Botshabelo CBD for mixed development. Tabanchu CBD also for mixed development. The Botshabelo Tabanchu node for mixed residential development. We also have the Vaihoek Precinct redevelopment program. Total estimated cost is around 8 billion. We have spent about 20 million on planning and designs of phase 1 is part of our reinvestment into the inner city. The Vaihoek is very historical, as you may know. The Vaihoek area is where the African National Congress was actually formed, but that precinct itself has a huge potential for the country and for the province, as well as for the metro. So we are reworking that. I think many years ago there was actually a commitment to finance this precinct, so we are revitalizing that. That will bring glory days back for inner city rejuvenation. So the project is about 4 hectares of land in the CBD, integrated mixed-use development. As I reflected, designs completed for phase 1, the final precinct plan completed and presented to National Treasury. So it's a very strategic site for the city. Then the airport development note, total estimated cost is about 10.3 billion. It's high-end type of land. And of course, we want the investments along that route, the N8 corridor. So the phase 1 of it is about 700 hectares for integrated mixed-use development. In terms of readiness, town planning processes are completed, township establishment approved, bulk infrastructure available, feasibility studies completed with support of National Treasury and World Bank. We have not moved at the pace we would have wanted to move in creating our small aerotropolis around that area, but we are ready to create that. Is that land there? You can see where I wanted the pointer. But if I point with my finger here, you won't see. So it's in total, that's 700 plus that 1,100 hectares for phase 2. So in terms of our phase 1, the opportunities, the International Convention Center, the ICC would want to have a ICC at the airport development node. Mangaung doesn't have an ICC, and to a large extent, we are using unconventional measures to host big events. There's no predictability. So we need that convention center. You can invest there. The hotels, there is one small hotel in the area, but I want to believe that when the city starts growing, when that node starts growing, we may need more than just the one hotel that is there. Office and commercial complexes is part of the plan. Mixed residential typologies. Of course, a shopping mall, tertiary education, as well as public amenities. In terms of phase 2, light industrial manufacturing, of course, as the area grows, people could want to invest maybe in the supplies towards the airport as an example. Cargo warehousing as well, cargo airport facilities, mixed residential typologies, as well as an increase in terms of our public amenities. That's the pockets of land. Unfortunately, I don't have the pointer like I pointed, but you can see the yellow aspects of the map directs to where we are envisaging some of these investments, including commercial showrooms, school apartment, number 3 apartments, high-end, the public facilities is number 2, tertiary education number 4, then taxi rank and transport noted number 5. Number 7 is the shopping mall. Number 8, International Convention Center, as I reflected. A proposed hotel. And then houses, as I also made a reference. Some urban square in between the written in red. So we are inviting in those pockets of land at the airport node. This is an artist impression of the airport node. Yeah, that's continuation of an artist impression of the airport node. Continuation. You can see, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be investing in an area with a huge potential for being what I can call an upmarket type of area. It's continuation of an artist's impression. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly like this. Someone will build a house like that. The other will build a street one. So, but that's just an artist's impression. Then the second one will be Cecilia Park development. Our total estimated cost is about 4 billion. It's about 166 hectares of land near Langenhoven Park. The project will deliver about 643 stands, residential, recreational, and retail facilities. Also mixed use a hotel, boutique hotel, place of assembly, business premises, gymnasium, and office space, of course. The town planning processes are complete. Municipal planning tribunal approvals also completed. So this opportunity is ready. Vista Park 2 and 3, there is continuation there. It's a work that we are continuing as the city. Those who have been in the city and who are staying in the city will know that there is some work that is continuing in that area. It's in the southern part. Vista Park 2 and 3 are in the southern parts of Bloemfontein. It's 151 hectares of land for Vista Park 2 and 151, and 126 hectares of land around Vista 3. So it's the remainder of portion 654 of Bloemfontein. The coordinates are reflected there. I think many people, if not all people that are staying here, would know where this is located. It's near the old Vista, but which is part of the University of the Free State. So that's the map. It's along the OR Tambo Road to N6. Vista Park 2 provides various property investment opportunities, various residential, about 4,709, about 8 for business, a filling station, about 3 opportunities for schools, 5 for creches, 15 public open spaces, and 4 for worship. So in total, it's about 4,730 opportunities for residential and non-residential. Vista Park 3 provides various property investment opportunities, out of which about 6,036 are for residential, 5 are for business, 1 for a garage, 3 for schools, 4 for creches, 19 for POS. I think Ishudi Shagan will explain that one. 4 for worship, 1 for a hospital, and 21 for mixed use. In total, it's about 6,073 opportunities. Then the Naval Hill development, we want to turn Naval Hill into a tourism hub, if you can say so, for the city. We are estimating about the cost of around 1 billion, which is about 250 hectares for a game reserve. The reserve is located in the middle of the city and is part of the Franklin Game Reserve. So we have a game reserve in the middle of a city. It's a massive opportunity. So the Readiness Naval Hill Redevelopment Plan has been completed. The viewing decks, Nelson Mandela Statue, Planetarium, Kiosk, and restaurant completed in the middle of the city. When you are there, ladies and gentlemen, particularly in the part of the game reserve, you would think you are out there in the field when you are actually in the middle of the city. So opportunities to expand vernacular, hotel, and zip line. We would want to have a zip line there at the Naval Hill. Then the industrial development, you can see on the picture there. Total estimated cost is around 30 billion. Various sites, prime industrial land in Tabanshu and Busabelo industrial areas, that's the project information. Bloom Industrial, Hamilton and East End industrial areas in Bloemfontein. So in terms of readiness, town planning and industrial zoning completed. Bulk and reticulation infrastructure operating required. Factory shells construction required as well. So that is the opportunities that you can come through. New regional landfill site. We want to build a new landfill site, a regional landfill site. The intention also, or the thinking and the processes include us. There's been an outcry about the landfill site at Northridge. So we are going to turn that landfill site into a transfer station, HOD Tinder, also into a green type of landfill site. So we are building the new regional landfill site just to accommodate as we move out of that. So in terms of project information, is development of a new regional landfill site for Mangaung, construction of a regional new landfill site, materials recovery facility, landfill gas to energy, biodigester, and hazardous waste facility. So whoever has capacity to bring those will also be given that opportunity. In terms of readiness, concept document has been developed. Kwaggafontein Game Farm and Zoo Development. Total estimated cost is about 3 billion. So Kwaggafontein is 1,300 hectare and stocked with various game species. So there is an need for upgrade of infrastructure, and the program focuses on conservation, research, tourism, and residential development. Here as well, the concept document is developed and the planning processes are completed. So we want to enable you and your children and your family to have an excursion that is here in Bloemfontein. So Kwaggafontein is along that concept. You can see in terms of the map and also the current zoo of Mangaung. We'll still have the current zoo. We are working on various aspects in relation of reopening it. So the difference will be that the one in Kwaggafontein, animals will be roaming freely. It will be like, that's why I was saying more like an excursion. The people will be moving in cages and the animals will be free. Whereas in the normal zoo, the animals will be in cages and the people will be moving freely. So you'll decide where you would want to be. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, Mangaung is ready for your investments. We are not a city that people just pass by. As we have seen in the presentation, we are ready to welcome any form of investments, and we are also ready to listen to your needs for the fostering of these relationships. Mangaung is at the heart of it all, a city that is globally safe and attractive to live, work, and invest in. I thank you.
Thank you very much, City Manager. I don't know about you, I've heard a lot of interesting things that the City Manager was presenting. So I think as an investor, especially on the ample prime and strategic land, thank you so much, City Manager, for outlining those opportunities to the House. Let me also just recognize other executive mayors from different municipalities that have joined us from the province. You are most welcome to have joined the Mangaung Metro inaugural investment summit. Your presence is very much appreciated. Now, I'm thinking that the next presentation then will be able to also outline these strategic lands that the City Manager is speaking about and other opportunities which the City Manager has also spoken to. So on my left, it is HOD Revelation Masubeng. He's the HOD at Technical Services from our Metro, and on, this is my right, it is our CFO, Ms. Zuziwe Tekisho, in the panel that we have. So without further ado, I'm going to let HOD Masubeng to just come and then in detail then extrapolate what the City Manager has spoken about so that we have further details. But before HOD comes to the stage, I just wanted to also announce this. I hope we are all noting all the strategic projects that have been indicated by the City Manager and the nodes, the opportunities within them. At the back, in the foyer, we already have a table that is already set for those that want to already pledge. The table is already ready at the back. So as we go on and look at the opportunities that are tabled in Tato Mangale, it is very important that you note and make your way to the back. So that opportunity is already open, but let's let HOD also take us into the details of the infrastructure which would want the House to be acknowledged of. HOD Masube. A very warm welcome to the HOD, please. Media, can you please just assist? Thank you.
Thanks. Good afternoon. This greeting goes to the Executive Mayor of Mangaung Metro, his esteemed guests that are part of this summit, of course with a hope that will entice them in investing in the city. The MECs from the provincial government, ministers, and the leaders at the national government as well, the administrations of the department from different spheres of government, including the executives in the metro, the city manager, his HODs, general managers, and other colleagues that are ensuring that the city is thriving. We are here gathered here to speak about the investment with a road towards an inclusive economy. Mine, which I'm brought here to speak about, is to speak about what the executive mayor has highlighted, that there was a build-up of the Indabas leading to this investment summit. These indabas deliberated on issues that emanated from the SDF, as it was outlining the opportunities at which we can focus on. There was a property indaba as well, just after speaking about the SDF. And there was an infrastructure indaba that touched on the bulk water sanitation, the road network, the energy or electricity network. And there were conclusions, of course, that were observed by these indabas. And we are going to be speaking to those brought under, of course, one slide that will be very much impactful before we are touching on the last project. The intention is to save the best for the last. Now, under planning, our SDF in presentations highlighted that it followed the spatial development principles, which entail the spatial justice, sustainability, efficiency, resilience, and of course they observed the good governance that is pointing out it's supposed to be observed if you are planning to have any city that you can invest in. Now, it was loud in highlighting the land parcels, which the city did manage to come to conclusion to say there's an investment opportunity in ensuring that investors can ensure that people are having roofs above their head, of course in different typologies. That is intertwined, of course, with the beautiness and stuff like that. So this is formally known as the 7 land parcels. The city manager touched on it. And then with a diagram there, I'm depicting that the land is assembled to these land parcels, with planning having to have been undertaken under Vista Park 2, Vista Park 3, and the hillside view. The infrastructure is still under progress there, and the housing has only happened at the hillside view, leaving all other land parcels, including the airport development node, of course up for business and up for a business or opportunity, and of course for your interest investment. Furthermore, you would ask yourself, once you have built the houses for the people, what are they going to be doing in Bloemfontein, because people need to be affording what you would be investing in. Well, the city as well was loud in identifying the industrial or the commercial land where production can be undertaken. Of course, the production can be undertaken of resources that you would get from around the city, which are mainly agricultural. And of course, you can capitalize as well in ensuring that the ITC space is capitalized on, the hardwares and the softwares are produced here, as there are universities that can even provide a sustainable research and development, which is considered much of a support to the business. So it does note that about 70% of it is in Bloemfontein, and 245 of that 70% is still vacant, meaning you still have a chance of building your own industry if you cannot repurpose the ones that are there, which is what is mainly being encouraged. But at least it gives you a sense of comfort to say, once you have developed the houses for these people to stay, which will be your clients, there is other activities that they will be doing in ensuring that they trade and then they can afford what you would have built under the land parcels. Now, as I had highlighted, majorly would be focused in the agriculture as well. The city is loud in highlighting the vast land they have for the purposes of agriculture. And I must state, just before Mr. Elon Musk climbed the ranks of being the richest man in the world, it was said and it was researched when Mr. Jeff Bezos was being studied closely that the next Jeff Bezos is going to come out of food production. Our SDF is loud in saying we have a vast land in that, surrounding the city itself, where you can ensure that you play in the bigger market, which is said to be soon producing the next Jeff Bezos. You can do that in the partnership with the city. It is owning a vast land that support that agricultural land. And then the types of the agricultural production you'll be having from our agriculture are identified. You'd see that towards the southern side, there's a high potential of you producing maize, wheat, dry bean, soya beans, sunflower, which are helpful as well in other secondary food productions out of that. So the city is calling you in to consider that, and of course to ensure that you can conquer even the region first, can go as far as conquering the SADC itself. Now you ask yourself, there would be a lot of compliances which are required if you are to be in our industrial space, be it you are producing food or you are in the ITC, as the example I made. It's not necessarily cast in stone. You can go vast. Because one other opportunity, when you look into the Mangaung and when we were discussing the SDF, I'll highlight one factor that a lot of cities across the world are giving credit to. It's the demographic deficit. Not necessarily deficit, dividend I meant, where now the population that can be productive, it's surpassing the one that is getting old. So the city has that as well. You can get people to be working in your industries once you are, of course, investing in that space. So compliance is to ensure that you become attractive to your clients and to ensure that you become attractive to the international world as you would be producing in Mangaung itself, be it in food or in other commodities. It has to happen somewhere. You need to have availability to the retail and the office space. The city has that and has about the total of 1,146,000 squares of the retail floor if you are to sell regionally. And it has an office space of 986,489 squares, where now you can be working behind the doors in ensuring that your client is kept impressed so that they can be buying your product, which you'll be producing within our space, creating jobs, and ensuring that we conquer even beyond Mangaung itself and we become the city that is of a world class we are envisioning. Furthermore, we spoke of the ICT a little. This slide has highlighted those areas of densification. It's in the SDF as well, where we are highlighting that people can be traveling with a cheaper mode of transport. From the CBD itself, it's an IPT initiative, which is still underway with other phases, of course. The operating one, which is the one depicted here, showing you that it goes all the way up to the UFS, University of the Free State. And of course, the CUT is not far off from the precinct as well. That is where we were saying you can be productive in the space of the ICT or others that are education related, where now the research and development will be played by this institution. So when we say you diversify across them, can either be through you providing accommodation for the students, or you can diversify by building the industry right close to them so that you can access education as a form of research and development and ensure that you are ahead of your peers in producing at Mangaung, which is the city that is very much quiet, so you are bound to be connecting with yourselves when you are here. Creativity levels are, of course, going to be high. One other that was highlighted by the SDF in our discussions was the nodal proposals are across the N1. There are some across the N6 as well. There are some across the N8, but the ones that are across the N1 were highly encouraged, as you would know, and as other speakers, including the mayor of the city, has highlighted that the city happens to be central, with other bigger cities, of course, that you are having to travel to, you'll be passing across. And of course, it's showing economic possibilities and opportunities there, which can be explored in ensuring that the nodes are developed. And as the cargo business is undertaken or the freight business is undertaken, one then can capitalize, of course, in accessing some profits through that corridor of the N1. So we concluded the SDF in that sense, and then its conclusions went further in becoming the conclusions of the entire Indabas, which will be read later, of course, after we have unpacked each Indaba, what did it touch on. So following the SDF was the property Indaba. They were not wasting time. It was undertaken in the form of a presentation, and they sat down in discussions of different, of course, property investments. So what they had recommended to the city, and they gave us an action plan, was the city has to reduce the turnaround times of processing their applications, and the city depicted that they have done so. And of course, from July 2023, they had attended to about 1,000 of those applications. They had highlighted as well the city should improve the customer satisfaction or customer centricity through stakeholder engagement. The city has ensured that is implemented. And then, of course, they have highlighted that the city should implement a construction permitting management system, which the city is working on. Furthermore, they spoke about the lack of road asset management plan. The city has initiated the process, and the process is underway, intended to be completed by the end of the calendar year. They have recommended that there be a review of the SDF to create more investment nodes, which, like I had said, the agriculture and the ICT is not cast in stone. As this is being reviewed, other business opportunities, of course, would be identified going further. They highlighted that there should be a building control tracker in place to record and monitor all applications and timeframes. The city highlighted that this is under place and this is underway already. So that's how we wrapped up the property in Indaba. And then a week after, we sat in a very long Indaba, which took a form in a form of presentations. And it matured from presentations into working groups because we're having professionals from different walks of life and different involvements, of course, in the infrastructure. Then we headed to the infrastructure in Indaba, which was undertaken over 2 days. Now, the infrastructure in Indaba noted that there are dams which are ensuring that we have access to the water. It highlighted as well there are future expansions of these dams, and there are those that are under construction from the source at which we're getting water from. There were problems that were highlighted that are hitting us, and they were emanating that the yield from the source of supply, the Orange River system, is declining. However, there are interventions which the city can undertake to ensure that the decline is not detrimental to the city and is not detrimental to the source itself. So they have identified the interventions of the reuse, the Tinfontein pump station capacity increase, and the bidirectional pipelines of the Welbedacht to Ngelport. And they have potentials, of course, of bringing up these yields once they are in place, and they are noted as such next to each intervention that was identified. Now, the infrastructure in Indaba noted that there are interventions that have to be in place as they are shown in this diagram. However, they observed as well the use. It's a bit above the current use. So it says there's supposed to be a very much quick turnaround into the strategies that were pre-identified. The city as well came to a similar conclusion as other specialists were identifying. Now matching it to the consumptions, the levels of consumptions that are there, we took note that it was pre-identified that we need to be implementing these interventions quicker than it was anticipated earlier when the delays were being allowed. So the city as well concluded on 3 programs, one being the reuse, as it was repeating itself, one being the Kharib Dam, which is under implementation by the national, and then one being the non-revenue water reduction strategy, which is under our water conservation and water demand management. Now, to have these attended to, the city has apportioned some allocations for the muscle sport for 47 million during in the current financial year, for the reuse 5.3 million as they are designing, for water conservation 76. However, you would see there on the estimated project costs that the project costs are a bit more than what we have apportioned, with the muscle sport having the shortfall of 1.25 billion, and the reuse having the 340 million, and the water conservation having 4.22 billion short. The one of the Kharib Dam, we are just observing that it will be about 7 billion, of course, to undertake. Now, those shortfalls, they may sound like a problem at this stage, but necessarily they're an opportunity at which we can partner with investors and ensure that we bring those quick interventions in sustaining as well other industries and the construction industry itself. Now, taking from the SDF, we have noted that there are beautiful developments that are noted, beautiful business plans that are there, including the one of agriculture, as I had mentioned, and I'll reiterate again that the next Jeff Bezos is going to come out of food production. To support all of those, we need now to apportion about 1.9 towards the bulk infrastructure of the water, which of course sustainably, if we have invested with the private businesses, there can be talks in ensuring that their investment is secured, and of course it brings the returns that it is afforded to bring. We also spoke to the sanitation of the bulk. We noted that the city has about 13 wastewater treatment works and the 19 sewer pump station. The city has connected its population to the waterborne sanitation, 72% thereof of the households. We are still working through the ventilated improved pit latrine, the VIP, servicing 18%. We have buckets to the value of 0.5%, not bad in as far as progress is made. And the ones that are unserviced are about 9.5%. The city has these treatment works with the stated design capacities. And of course, you would see that the operating capacity is a bit closer, meaning there would be an investment of creating more wastewater treatment works. However, they would be on a project basis. They would be part of the project pipeline once the investor has identified a specific project which they are going to be investing in. So these treatment works, we undertook some condition assessments. You would know that in the space of asset management, especially the heavy assets as the cities would manage, conditions assessment needs to inform your decisions. Condition assessment were taken of the 13 wastewater treatment works and, of course, the 19 pump stations. And one other investment opportunity showed up before we speak to what the conditions were meaning, as we are going to express it in the rands and cent for investment opportunity. We noted that as we had classified our sludge, that there's a sludge that can support the agricultural industry itself. And we noted that at Velfart would need to improve on the quality of the sludge so that it can support such an industry. And of course, the property development industry itself, if the sludge is to be explored, and it will bring the cheaper and the alternative and the lesser in weight production of your construction materials. And of course, would be saving and going green in that regard, which of course, it presents a high opportunities of investment. Now, furthermore, we have assessed our own assets and we wanted to remain knowing what is it that needs to be done should anyone be interested in investing in the sanitation infrastructure with the city. And then we realized that we need to spend about 72.9 on the wastewater treatment works to have them operational, 8.6 on the pump stations, though they are experiencing a lot of vandalism. That may have to be continuous, and there's an opportunity, of course, that is showing its head here, when security is of high class, and ensuring that they are remaining secured. You can be hand in hand with the city, of course, in saving the money in as far as theft is concerned. And then we noted that so much as the 72% is serviced, we still have to service about 79,882 to the value of about 3,084,000,000, which of course as well investors can look into that and partner with the city. And from a bulk perspective of sanitation, the city needs about 1.1 billion for specific projects to support what the SDF has highlighted in saying there's business to do to the city. There's business as a potential of hitting the region, hitting the SADC, and of course possibly going international. We also assessed the road network of the city, where we noted that the city is managing about 3,831 kilometers of the road network, 1.6 kilometers thereof is sealed. And we noted that 90% of it is in poor condition, with 60% being the rehabilitation, of course, backlog. Now, the conditions were assessed as well, just so that we understand our assets. By the time you are investing, we don't take your money and we throw it where we don't need it, but we throw it where we need it, so as to maximize your returns as well. And we'll talk about later how can those returns be, of course, optimized. We noted that for us to sustain it, we need about 394 million to sustain just the network on a year-to-year basis. For us to rehabilitate the gravels as well and ensure that we upgrade, we need about 382 a year. However, we noted that we have a deficit because we have budgeted about 19.3. We have conceptualized this in about the 10-year plan because the construction can be industry itself, as the mayor highlighted. Where now you have people that are active, you have bitumen that is being produced around the city, of course, in a safer manner, or you have more creative ways of having the new seals explored, tested down here, and of course, you can even spill it over to the neighboring countries and still make your money whilst we are with it, whilst you are on it with us. So we have conceptualized to say if you are to invest in a road network over a space of 10 years, we are going to need about 7.3 billion. This, of course, we did approach the BFI with it as well. However, the notion was that we may need to focus first on water, then the road may have to follow just after, because up to now, the government is still reliant on the national fiscus to a larger extent, and all researchers are geared to saying bring private in. They are intending to throw in their private money, as long as you would ensure that there are returns. So furthermore, we spoke to the energy, where now under energy, values were highlighted, pointing out there's a good governance in that regard. Sensitivity to the environment, social and governance was highlighted, showing that even if you are going to do business with Centlec, compliances are not going to be a ghost that follows you when you are enjoying your profits, because you would have been sensitive to whatever that is applicable and what you need to observe in as far as energy is concerned. They outlined their own bulk supply infrastructure, which seems to be, to a certain extent, sufficing in catering for the current need. And then they have outlined as well challenges that they are experiencing on the overhead lines of their network, underground cables, street lights, and substations, of course. Now, they have the reduction programs from technical to the non-technical losses, which is where they are calling investors to join hands with them and work on. In optimizing that the losses, of course, in optimizing, of course, the usage of the power. Furthermore, they have highlighted that they have a program that they are undertaking, which is a digitized energy mix problem and the e-fleet program. Now, Centlec highlighted that they have several opportunities available, totaling to 83 megawatts of renewable energy project. These projects entail solar farms, waste-to-energy initiatives, and repurposing of the existing coal power station that they are having. There's also an opportunity of exploring microgrids for informal settlements around Mangaung. There's also an investment opportunity in leasing of the street lights and other network poles for provision of the internet to the consumers or the users of the internet. And there's also an opportunity in investing in electrical vehicle, charging infrastructure, and participating in the e-fleet program itself. So they are turning their challenges into opportunities, and they are calling investors to be with them in sustaining what is happening on the network. Now, the infrastructure in Durban moved into concluding, and then it realized that an investor has to be given confidence if the investor is to be throwing in the money, even in this infrastructure investment opportunities. So firstly, they recommended that the city must consider the city twinning approach to ensure that continuous professional development and upskilling opportunities are sustained. You would want an upskilled person with the latest information of as soon as yesterday, looking, of course, after your investment. They wanted us to clear that first. And then the infrastructure in Durban took note that municipalities are constrained in their ability to be able to borrow directly from the markets. So to overcome these challenges, they had recommended that the city should consider the revision of regulatory mechanism governing the municipality financials. They also further recommended that the funding allocated to the city for infrastructure development should be ring-fenced for project development to increase the chances of securing external funding. Because once it is only preserved for that purpose and that purpose only, it gives that confidence of seeing that if it's to come constantly for 10 years, what potential will it be? Then you can capitalize on capital expenditure of now, which will be far cheaper, with the long term, of course, securing your returns. They also said the city also needs to develop a better relationship with private sector financiers, such as fund managers, to develop a clear understanding of their funding allocation priorities, the kinds of project pipelines that they are interested in funding. because here they were noting that there are interests from other funders to say we want to fund a specific project, but the plans of servicing the communities from the city side, maybe they are not aligned. So they encourage that this gap needs to be closed to ensure that we create the project pipelines that will speak and attract the financer or the financiers in investing in the city. Now, it also reflected this infrastructure in Durban to say there are sources of income that comes in the city from different sources. That would be from the user fees, property tax, transfers, and they are servicing different classes of infrastructure as depicted there. I'm sorry, it will come just now. I'm sorry. Yeah, as depicted there, you would see that the transfers are catering the road transit, culture, and social assistance. The transfers that are derived from the income tax, as they are apportioned to the cities and the local municipalities, they speak to the free basic service housing. And the property taxes speaks to the firefighting, the policing, the security, as well as we highlighted our asset would need that highly, as our pump stations are suffering there. And then user fees and charges are supporting the water, electricity, and the sewer and the refuse removal as well. So once these are all cleared to the investor, which of course they are predictable if you break it in this sense, then they can bring the comfort to the investor in saying, am I in or am I out in the space? Would I secure my money? Or you can as well recommend some improvements to be done around the sources of funding and be part thereof when you're about, of course, to get your profit as we are building Bloemfontein. As I had highlighted, it has a potential of conquering the region and ultimately the SADC. And from there, of course, you can expand further and further. Now, in conclusion, they have brought this. I remember it was brought by Professor Oke from the Central University of the Technology. He asked that, have we seen this before and what happened to it? And I figured that it may be questions, or it may be one of the questions that is coming from the investors and potential investors that are sitting in the investment summit today. This you see here, the city manager spoke about, it's an airport node. The airport node, what happened to it, the current status of it is that the township establishment was approved in 18 August 2017. The bulk infrastructure of the water, sanitation, and electricity is well in place. It can cater for it. The interchange constructed by Sandral leading into the development is there. It is in place. So traffic-wise, you are likely not going to experience congestion, especially as you are building. Now, the project stakeholders as well, which you'll be engaging when you are investing in this one, is Mangaung, the Free State Provincial Government, the National Human Settlement, the Sandral itself, Airport Company South Africa. Of course, I have put you there already, private sector investors, as I'm anticipating that you'll be jumping on this one as quick as you can. So issues that needs to be resolved as we are answering the question of what happened to it, because it was even given attention by the City Support Program, the National Treasury. Issues to be resolved is that the capital injection is needed for the provision of reticulation and link infrastructure. Investments are required into the program. There was a feeling that there was an inadequate marketing of this area. And of course, any unblocking matters to be resolved as investors identify specific opportunities. As the city manager has shown it to be very beautiful than what I'm depicting here, investors can pick on new things that needs to be attended for them to can release the money. Now, shortly after this, the infrastructure in Durban concluded, and of course, it was declared a success because it managed to identify the needs of the investor. It managed to identify sources of income the investor can look into. And of course, it managed as well to speak to those areas at which the investor can invest in as far as infrastructure investment is concerned. It is a valid industry, construction industry. It's a huge one in the Mangaung. And investors, of course, are very much invited into considering it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, HOD. Okay, thank you very much, HOD, for that detailed presentation. I think now all of us are well abreast in terms of the potential investment opportunities in our infrastructure, specifically on water, sanitation, energy, and also property development initiatives that the HOD has outlined, and the processes or the mechanisms or the readiness of the land parcels that he has indicated. Let us just in our midst, I think the executive mayor, when he started, he was acknowledging different leaders of political parties, and he just mentioned that as other parties also join us, we should do so. So in our midst, let's also acknowledge the presence of the Freedom Front Plus, Councillor Valerie Dugok. I think you're sitting right at the back. A very welcome to yourself, to your metro, actually, in that instance. But ladies and gentlemen, after the next presentation, remember it will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. So the city manager has tabled the opportunities. The HOD came in detail in terms of what in which department to zoom in the different investment opportunities that would have pertaining our infrastructure. And now our final presentation will be from our CFO, where she now presents the investment incentives to yourselves as our potential, as our investors. And I think from there we will have enough information to now have a question and answer session. CFO, may I take you? A warm welcome to our CFO. She has all the money. A very warm welcome.
I love it when it's stated that the CFO has the money. I think we are the most broke in council. I always say those who make the money, who bill and bring it in, sometimes don't have it, because we always watch on our screens when it comes in and when it goes out. Good afternoon, Executive Mayor, the Speaker. Let me rather say all protocol observed before I make any mistakes. I will be presenting to you the draft Mangaung Investment Incentive Policy. As I will be presenting this policy, I will also try my level best to persuade the investors in this house to find reasons to come and invest in Mangaung. Before I go to the policy, I've believed it is necessary that I just give you some insights into the budget of the city so that you are not worried to bring money to the city that doesn't have the money. And my apologies, this presentation is outdated. I will be circulating the latest presentation. You know, as you sit, you always just get some thoughts, like the budget issue. I didn't have it earlier, but I felt, having listened to the city manager giving you the overview of the city, and Tatema Subing, I thought, let me just cover as well from the budget perspective. Now, the city of Mangaung, which you have been given the length and the breadth of it, is a city of 10,660 million. That is the revenue budget of the city. And this is for the current financial year, 2024-2025. And our projections for 2025-2026 is that this city will generate a revenue of 11,294,536. And in the year 2026-2027, our forecast in that outer year is almost a 12 billion. You can see from these numbers that we are a growing city. And as such, we need investment to boost this growth and support the growth. Now, looking at the asset base, because as investors, when you come to invest in a city, you want to know, do we have adequate infrastructure that can support investment? And I will be covering this from the perspective of the balance sheet, the total value of the infrastructure that we have. The city is currently having total infrastructure to the value of 22 billion. And this is all inclusive of electricity infrastructure, water infrastructure.
Just a moment. I think the slides are not moving. Are they moving on your slides?
No, it's fine. We'll update
They
the
do
slides
not-
later.
it's not
It's
moving
okay.
at all.
No, it's fine. We'll deal with that at a later stage. But that is, I was giving you the numbers of the total value of infrastructure, breaking it down into various services that we have. But I think for now, let me just indicate it's 22.465 billion. And with the CAPEX that we have for this year of 1.3 billion, this asset base is projected to grow by 1 billion to 23 billion in 2025-26 and to 24 billion in 26-27. In terms of the cash flow management of the city, what we are happy with as management and leadership is that our operating activities, unlike in other cities, are still generating a positive surplus, meaning we are in a position of managing our billing, our expenditure, and our receivables. So we are standing not so strong, but at least when the operating activities are performing well, then it gives a sense of comfort that we are not overburdening or overcommitting to what we cannot afford. I just want to give the audience the capital expenditure projections per department. Remember, we are inviting you to come and invest in the city. And we need to be the first investors as a city into the infrastructure so that we at least give you some level of certainty in terms of infrastructure availability. Our capital expenditure budget for the current year is 1.339 billion. And our investment areas in terms of that 1.3 billion is number one, in Sentlek, we have a budget of 278 million. You would know that Sentlek is our electricity distribution entity, and you can see we are serious in ensuring that there is stability in that area of electricity. 278 million is allocated, 289 it will be for 25-26, and for 26-27 the budget is going to be 302 million. Then the other area of high investment is in community services, which are currently the annual budget is 274 million, 258 for 25-26, and 210 million for 2026-2027. And in terms of human settlements, our allocation for this year, or the budget allocated to human settlements in the main, it is upgrading of informal settlements and installation of basic services at those upgraded informal settlements. And there we are talking about 266 million for the current year, 272 million for the next year, that starts 1 July 2025, and 1 July 2026, which is the outer year of the current MTREF, the budget allocated for human settlements is 406 million. Under technical services, the budget for this year is 253 million, rising to 302 million, and further rising to 325 million in 2026-2027. Under water sector, the current year's budget is 138.7 million, and it is still at 138 million for 2025-2026, and about 84.7 million for 2026-2027. Just on the financial governance of the city, I would like to touch more on procurement, because as you are seated here, for any opportunity that you will be vying for or showing interest on, we want to give you certainty that we've got a well-defined policy on supply chain management. We've got functional bidding committees. We've got all the procedures that must be followed to ensure that the processes of procurement are intact. Looking at the audit outcomes of the city, as recent as I think in the last 2 weeks, the AG presented the audit report for the city independently and of the entity, as well as for the consolidated financial statements. On the consolidated financials, we received a qualified audit opinion I must indicate that when you're looking at the area of qualification, it was not based on technical around your GREP standard, the disclosures and all those things. It was mainly on the internal controls that need to be enhanced around employee-related costs, which is something as management we are taking seriously. I think in the presentations made earlier, you were told that the city is still under cabinet intervention. We work with National Treasury closely to ensure that issues that had been identified when the intervention team came are followed on, and we are making improvements. And I won't go into the detail on the financial recovery plan that has been adopted by Council. Our strategy moving forward in terms of the budget is to try to align our grant dependency to an acceptable ratio of 75%, 25% internally funded. At this point in time, the contribution of internally generated funds into the CAPEX is quite low, and I won't go to the percentage of that. But we've got a strategy in place to see to it that the city performs well on revenue, manages its expenditure so that we can grow in terms of our investments and availing funds to fund our CAPEX. We are quite low in terms of debt. We are not a city that is living on borrowings and overdrafts. Our current debt to equity ratio is sitting at 1:8, which is quite at the lowest comparing to other cities. Therefore, with this opening remark into the investment incentive policy, I want to say to you, your investment is safe with Mangaung. All right, thank you so much. I am now going to be going into the incentive policy. I am giving you an executive summary of a comprehensive draft policy. And as I come to the end of my presentation, I will be just giving you the outline of the process that will be followed by the city to ensure that by 31st May 2025, the incentive policy is no longer a draft, but it is an effective policy. Now, when you go through the draft policy, it is giving you some opening statement, because you don't just come up with a policy. There must be some compelling reasons, underlying reasons that are driving you to ensure that as much as you want to attract investors, what are the reasons, what will be the motivation that you are giving to these investors? But from our side, when we developed this incentive policy, what we observed as a city was, number one, declining economic activities. I remember in one of the meetings, somebody said the last time they saw cranes in Mangaung was almost 15 years ago. And these drives we are pushing is to ensure that Mangaung becomes a construction site. So we are noting that in our policy that there has been that decline, and we have seen as well the threats in the survival of our SMMEs. If you're looking at the reports, you'll find that every day there is a small business that is closing for various reasons, including the fact that the delays in payment of these SMMEs, which is a problem that we are addressing as a city. We have also observed that there is slow growth in industrial and commercial sectors. And I think from the presentation of the city manager and the presentation of Ntate Masobeng, we are leading you to the areas that we believe there are opportunities there, especially for growth and for investment. We also observed generally when you're looking at the construction industry, the cost of construction are rising. And it calls for us, how do we compensate the investors to mitigate the impact that they are experiencing when they are actually thinking of investing in construction. We have also observed the prevalent spatial, economic, and social fragmentation. We're speaking about Tabanshu. Our video will show you the look and feel of Tabanshu, the look and feel of Botshabelo, and all our small towns. And indeed, we don't want to see those differences. We want, when you are living in Tabanshu, wake up and go and work in close proximity to where you live. We also observed declining investor confidence, which is generally a countrywide problem. The state of the inner city and the disconnect from the people. We also observed tough market conditions and fiscal constraints that investors are experiencing. Now, looking at the principles that are embedded in the policy, we are saying as a city, we understand that for this city to exist, it is made and depends on investments. A city is made of real estate. There must be building for a town to become a city. And we are saying we are acknowledging the investment that you've made and the investment that we are looking forward that you would make or continue to make within the city of Mangaung. And we want to expose the opportunities that we have within the city. We also understand the challenges that you are facing as private sector. And those reasons or challenges we are facing, they compelled us to think out of the box and come with this investment incentive policy, which is intention. It is to attract, it is to retain, and it is to support local businesses. The purpose of this presentation, therefore, it will be taking you into the context of our incentive policy. Now, Mangaung as a city doesn't exist in an island, and our policy is also not isolated from the national policies and the provincial policies. You would have observed in our program that we actually expected an expert from DTIC who was just going to expose all of us here on the national incentives that are available, which this city is also aligning with. At the provincial level, you would observe or appreciate the fact that we've got a Free State growth and development strategy. We have Free State Province Spatial Development Framework and Free State Provincial Investment Incentive Guideline. Those documents are aligning very well with the policy that the city has developed. From internally in Mangaung, when we developed this incentive policy, we focused on our integrated development plan. What are the objectives of this plan for the current 5 years and taking the city beyond the 5 years? You have been presented or given a sense of the spatial development framework as it was summarized in the presentation that just came before me. We also have as a city a district development model, the one plan that is coordinating all efforts of government within the space of Mangaung. We also considered the municipal planning bylaws as well as the municipal sector plans, which also at the right time will be publicized for all of us to make inputs and get these sector plans become the Bible of the day. You will also realize that the president approved Mangaung UDZ, which includes the Bloemfontein CBD, with northern boundary being Alexandra Road, the eastern boundary being the railway line, the southern boundary being Franoken, and western boundary being the First Avenue. That is giving you the extent of the UDZ, and you would know the incentives that are linked to the areas that are demarcated as urban development zones. And I'm not going to go into the detail. The documents are available on the website as well, where you can pick up on what incentives are packed in that Mangaung UDZ strategy. The policy objectives that are outlined in the policy are: number one, we want sustainable employment. The reason why we have called all these summits is to ensure that from the opportunities that had been identified, and in the main, it is creation of employment opportunities from those infrastructure development projects. Number two, it is the facilitation of grants and subsidies. The last part of Ntate Masubeng's presentation was that we have identified some other government departments that are extending grants and loans, which we want to pursue and understand the qualification criteria, so that when our investors invite us around the table, at least we can put some options on the table on what we can do as a city. And we also streamlining our municipal procurement so that there can be some leveraging. In a meeting we held with Treasury yesterday when we were discussing with the future of the grants, they were indicating that it will come a time where it is a rand for a rand. If you want 3 billion from government, they will expect you to bring a 3 billion. We're also saying as a city, we are not going to fold our arms. We want to streamline our procurement and leverage from the funds that we have, and I already gave you the numbers that are coming there. We also want to promote local production. We have met in the, when we were doing the walkabout out there, met with various companies, and the first question we're asking is, what are your plans to come to Mangaung and invest so that we can also at least promote on the production side? We're also looking at the upgrade of our financial management system. I think bidders, from where they seated, it could be quite a daunting task for you to complete our bidding documents. We are saying as part in this policy, that is what we are committing to improve on our integrated financial management systems that are designed to enhance the effectiveness of Mangaung in dealing with your proposals. Now, coming to the categories of incentives that we have in the policy, number one, we have a tax incentives that we are extending to the investors, which will comprise of tax holidays, reduced tax rates, tax allowances, and credits that would grant firms that can deduct from some certain of these taxes from their investment expenses, as well as tax deferrals. So that is the one category that you can apply for or that is explained in the policy. It is your tax incentives. The second one is financial incentives, which are direct or indirect transfers of funds and liabilities to benefit a particular business, activity, or sector. Whereby when we discuss with you on your investment opportunities, we can bring in some matching grants to those investments. We can look at how do we assist you to experience at least some reduced interest rate loans and reduced prices on land. The third one is regulatory incentives, which are non-financial derogations of rules and regulations offered by the municipality to private sector. You would know that when you do development, there are processes that you need to follow. In terms of this regulatory incentive, we are looking at those processes and see how can we reduce the red tape, fast track your proposal to see it approved by council and start turning, and then we can start seeing the work happening. Under regulatory incentives, we are looking at the clearance certificates, we are looking at the building plans, service connection, bulk contribution, leasing of municipal real estate. Those are incentives that are available under regulatory. Then we've got technical of business support incentives, which again are non-financial, but we are considering them preferential treatment or relocation support. You could be an existing business within Mangaung. You have identified a spot elsewhere where you believe that your business will thrive and create these employment opportunities we're looking at. Then we can come, we can talk and see how can we assist you with relocation. Others will be falling under the preferential treatment, where if the incentive, the proposal is hitting the nerve of the city, then your proposal will be treated with preference and pushed through the processes to reach the right authority where approval will be sought. I won't go to the detail of the investment opportunities because the city manager has already taken you through. But just to run down the list, we have catalytic land development programs, we've got CBD revitalization, industrial park revitalization, township economy and revitalization areas, as well as small town regeneration in Soutpan, Diversdorp, Wepener and Van Standerdress. Our policy further alludes to preferred economic sectors, which are the following: agriculture and agro-processing, manufacturing, renewable energy and green industries, tourism, logistics. And the criteria for these preferred economic sectors would be: number one, is either it's an external investment or is an expansion of an existing investment, but it will exclude relocation because relocation will fall under the categories of incentives. We're going to be looking at employment creation. We're going to be looking at spatial targeting, whether your business wants to locate in a CBD, in a catalytic land parcel, and in any other strategic area that we believe will make economic sense for the city and for you as an investor. Now, in terms of the thresholds that we are providing in as far as these investment incentives, the first category proposed incentive is as follows. When it comes to the discount on rates and services, which is your water, sewage, refuse removal, and electricity rates, we are proposing in the policy a 50% discount on those rates for all services. Then the criteria to qualify for the 50% discount would be, number one, that project must create at least 100 direct jobs. Number two, the applicant for the incentive must be the landowner. Number three, the municipal services must be provided in that area, but that would exclude any service provided by Bloom Water and Eskom. So as much as we're giving water discount of 50%, but if the distribution is not done by the city, that area, that discount cannot be extended because we haven't collaborated with Bloom Water or the Val Central as well as Eskom in this incentive policy. Then we have the second category, which is rebate on development costs, building plans, rezoning, and connection fees. We give 50% rebate to the maximum of 1 million. Remember, for every new development, you will need to submit your building plan. You must apply for connection of services. Under that category, you will get 50% discount as an incentive, but the maximum of that incentive is kept at 1 million. The conditions for this grant is the land size must be at least 1 hectare. The minimum investment must be at least 20 million. You must employ 80 construction staff. At least 30% of local SMMEs must participate in construction. In terms of monitoring and evaluation, the city is intending to establish a committee that will be receiving the applications as well as the committee that will be monitoring the implementation of the proposal submitted by the applicant to ensure that when these incentives are granted, the application doesn't fall flat and the city faces some losses of revenue because of the fact that their continuation is disrupted. Now, the minimum requirements to apply is, number one, for you to be eligible for financial incentives, you must either be an owner or proxy of the owner. So if you're not applying for yourself, you're applying for a company or for someone else, at least there must be some official appointment of the applicant to act as a proxy to the owner of that property. Number two, the application must be for brownfields land or site or greenfields development. Investment must be inclusive of building expansion, refurbishment, or redevelopment to an increase in assessed market value of the property. Remember as well for us, when you do the expansion or we are approving a new investment, we already make projections in terms of the future revenues that will be generated from that property. An application deemed catalytic is of high value, and we've indicated that our minimum is 20 million, and it goes through the BAM to indicate the level of incentive that we'll get. The point that the investors need to note is these incentives, once the policy is approved, they are not applied retrospectively. So if you started with your development, you started with your refurbishment, you started with your expansion, once the policy is approved, you can't come and say, but now the policy is effective, I would like to make a submission. The effective date will be as per council resolution, which in this case, in terms of the process I'm going to outline, is 1 July 2025. And all these incentives will depend on cities' affordability and compliance with MFMA. Now, just to assist the investors to understand the prescribed documents in submitting your application. Number one, it is the land use. We want to know whether the application is for a church or what is the rating category of that property, and that can be obtained from the Municipal Valuation Department, which is located on the second floor of Bram Fisher Building. Number two, a copy of the title deed in respect of the property to be developed, or where application, or where applicable, the notarial deed evidencing the tying of individual properties together for the purposes of a development. Number three will be a CIPRO report. We want to know the relationship of the applicant, whether you are the director of the company or a shareholder of that company. So you have to attach your CIPRO documents so that we can assess who are the applicants and who are the directors of the company and the main place of that business. Identity documents goes without saying. Where applicable, a resolution authorizing a proxy, I think that we know by now. Building plan approval, where no building plan approval is required under the National Building Regulations, a written certification thereof. And our building inspectorate, I think it's sitting on the 7th or 8th floor, again at Bram Fisher Building. You must also provide us your Gantt chart or your project plan so that we can see when are you intending to start and the milestones that go with that development, so that we can be able to monitor your progress you are making against the grants or the incentives that will be extended to you. Then we'll also require a quantity surveyor's report on estimated cost of new investment. Remember, the second category of the investments goes with the value, which is estimated cost of construction. And therefore, for us to believe what we are seeing, we would need a QS report that is estimating those costs. Proof of good standing or acceptable standing in respect of municipal accounts. So it's either your account is up to date or you have a valid arrangement signed off by the CFO of that municipality in terms of any arrear debt that that property may be sitting with. Then this slide is just giving the investors a sense of where do we stand in terms of our rates, sent in the rent rating per category. For the current year, our rates for residential are sitting at 1 cent. Or 1 cent, yeah, I can just round it down to 1 cent. For business, it is 3.6 cents. Industrial properties is 3.6 cents. Agricultural properties is 0.26 cents. Mining properties, 3.6 cents. Public service purposes is 3.6 cents. How do you apply this? You just take the cent in the rent rating, you are multiplied to the value of the property. That will give you an estimated annual rates and taxes on that property. Then you divide by 12, then you can see how much will be your monthly bill in as far as the rates are concerned. But these, the city has a tariff book on the website that you can download and see the full view of all the rates applicable. And I won't go into the detail of this because I think for you as investors in this plenary, your interest is more on your commercial properties that are already alluded to. The approval process that will be followed, as I indicated, the policy is a draft. It will go to council in March. We will be publishing it for to invite public inputs, and it will be part of the documentation for public participation processes. The draft will then be presented to council in May together with the budget, and once approved by council, it will become effective from the 1st of July 2025, as I indicated. We are also working as finance to propose a policy in council of in-kind and grant-in-aid policy, which we think it will go to council after the budget, but it should be approved by no later than the end of the first quarter of the 2025-2026 MTREF. Because remember, in our incentive policy, we're also speaking about subsidizing the applicants in one way or the other. So we need to have a policy that will be guiding the application process, the qualification process, as well as the reporting on funds granted. Then we're also busy with the race clearance reforms, what I want to highlight from this slide is the fact that the city is currently using an electronic system for the application of the race clearances, and most of the conveyancers within Bloemfontein are registered on the system. And our turnaround time for clearances is about 5 days. You apply on Monday, Friday, we would have gotten the report as a lawyer, and then we can debate on issues that you want to raise out of that clearance figures. Remember, we also have Municipal Systems Act, Section 118. Our race clearance certificate will be valid for 60 days, but once it expires, your lawyer or your conveyancer can still come to us and apply for a fresher RCC, and we do the update, and the new one will also be valid for another 60 days. Then we also exploring the implementation of Section 102 of the Municipal Systems Act, which deals with consolidation of accounts. We want to see how can we explore that section in assisting the investors that are currently residing within Mangaung and are sitting with challenges of arrear debt, yet they want to invest in new developments, how to deal with those challenges. It is one way or the other of ensuring that we retain our existing investors. I won't go through the process of the issuing of the RCC, but as I indicated, it is electronic. There's no running up and down in offices looking for this and for that one. It is electronic, it is approved electronically. Your lawyer communicates via that platform. We keep the audit trail, and everything is clear. That is bringing me to the end of the presentation of the investment incentive policy of the City of Mangaung. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, CFO Metegisho. Here's your stick. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm not going to say anything about your presentation. I am live. I might distort all the percentages and all the numbers that you had mentioned, and I could be held liable for doing that. But that was a lot of information, I think, from all the three presenters, and I think we share the sentiment that there is power with information. So information is power. Before we get to the question and answer session, let us acknowledge in our midst the mayor of Thabo Mofutanyana district, Councillor Khoni Msibi. She's sitting just in front, and she wears quite a number of hats. I'll also mention the one-year deputy chairperson of Salga in the province. Thank you so much for joining us for the summit. Thank you so much. We also have Councillor Rampai in our midst from the ACDP political party that has joined us for the summit. And lastly, we also have the City Mayor Motlalipule Sipipi from Maseru City Council. A very welcome to yourselves. We're looking forward to fruitful day forward. I think then we can now start moving to questions and answers for the panel that presented today. That is the Metro, all the Metro presentations that took place. I think we have 30 minutes for the question and answer session. The only question I will accept is to accompany you to the pledging table. That's the only question I will accept from this platform, and then the rest will be for the officials. So I think I will start with taking 3 hands from each block as the first session. I think just prepare the mics on the side. And when you rise up, please just introduce yourself so that we know where you're also from. Are there any hands? Can I get an indication on the side if there are any hands? That's any clarity seeking? Okay, it's just pledges this side, no clarity seeking questions. Okay, it's one, yourself, sir. No one, going once, going twice. Okay, then we'll move to the second block. Any clarity seeking questions? I have one at the back. The second one will be the gentleman with the black top. The third one will be yourself. Yes. 3, and then on this block, clarity-seeking questions? Just pledges this side. Okay. On my left, I have one gentleman going once, going twice. The rest of us are pledging. Okay. So maybe let's start with the gentleman on the right.
Thank you, Madam Program Director. My name is Tsietsi Masitela. I'm representing an entity called Umolemo Mohau Solutions. We are based in Botshabelo. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate the municipality for the opportunity which showcase their interest. I will use the word interest because it seems now municipality is coming to the people. That's what we've been expecting for a very long time. Botshabelo, that's where I'm coming from. Botshabelo, that's where the chief whip is coming from. Botshabelo is where the executive mayor is coming from. We are prepared to partner with the municipality and our investors. We've got a proposal which will present to municipality, which will make it a point that the livelihood of our people in Botshabelo, in Mangaung, it come to a reality. The project will also benefit municipality on revenue collection. Because the challenge which we are having, we can spend 2 months in this room. Unless there is no revenue for municipality, we are gone. Now, whatever we are bringing here for municipality is going to bring revenue for municipality. So to municipality can service its own people. I think it was just a matter of a pledge. We'll share the documents and everything with municipality at the relevant stage and time. I thank you.
Thank you.
Revolutionary greetings, everyone. My name is Tumelo Piso. I run a company called United Youth Electrical. I have 2 questions. And my first question is premised on the theme inclusive economy. As I run this company, which is called United Youth Electrical, I'm looking for business opportunities, and I want to ask, I know that there are projects that have been outlined here, which are massive and which are wonderful, which are going to grow the economy of the Bloemfontein, of the Free State. I want to know, how do I participate in these projects which are going to grow the Free State? And my second question is, we know that we live in the times of AI. Right now we are no longer in the 4th Industrial Revolution, we are in the 5th Industrial Revolution. So my suggestion is, as we are scratching our heads on how to come up with innovative ideas that are going to grow the economy, as we know that the municipality is a municipality which is depending on the customer services, customers that are paying services, and grants that come from national grants. So I'm saying that let's not look further. Let's try to come up with innovations that are going to grow the economy of the Free State, and which is going to create a lot of job opportunities for people who are living here. And I know that they have highlighted, it was sort of a suggestion that since we are the center of this whole country, Bloemfontein is the center city of this country. Since the ANC was established here in Bloemfontein, why don't we make a Vryhoek, a sort of, we know at Gauteng,
As you summarize.
yes, the Mandela House, I mean, a lot of people flock there. And as they flock there, there are business opportunities that are happening. With us, let's make sure that Vryhoek is a good site so that tourists who are coming here, they can leave us with money. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Lina laka ke Matshego Melesi from Exclusive Homes. Thank you for the presentations. My question is regarding the bulk infrastructure. How is it aligned with the highlighted 7 land parcels in terms of the number of households that were already outlined? Is the infrastructure capacity able to take the number of households per the pipeline of the city? That is number one. Number two, the CFO indicated the budget allocated to human settlements. My interest is in upgrading of informal settlements. How many informal settlements are upgraded in the current financial year? And what are the plans for the outer years as already indicated in the budget allocated? Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes. I think it's 2 minutes, ne?
Okay, thank you. My name is Neo Mutiki from Holistic Group. I have just 2 questions to the panel. I just want to find out, in terms of your investment framework, the model of approach in
I don't
terms of...
think we can hear you.
Okay, the
If
model
you can
of...
just increase the volume so that the panel
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. The model of approach in terms of the mixed-use development, what is your model of approach if one has to invest in such projects? And then the second question also in terms of the energy transition is concerned, also I just want to know from the panel also what type of model of approach, because as we are bringing different investors, obviously investors have different expertise and the different models that they apply before they can actually invest into any kind of a project. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think we're moving to the next block. Oh, this was the pledging block. Then we just had a gentleman at the back. He's already ready, yes.
Dumelang, everybody. Well done, the mayor and your team. You have done an exceptional work here, and you have our support and the support of international and local investors. I've got 2 questions. I see that there's nothing about some dilapidated properties that the municipality have, and we'd like to find out, because we are looking at those properties that we can make sure that the community get something out of them, and then we can move forward about that one. Number two, I've been around and I've asked some questions with the guys at the municipality, because some investors that we are talking to, they were asking us for feasibility studies for those 7 projects that were mentioned over there. So we'd like if we can be assisted with that particular information so that we can move forward and bring proper investors that we have already engaged to assist the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The hand was not up, but we'll allow you, just the 2.
Thank you very much. My name is Elsanolo Mosoto from Bloomdale Hospital. Reduction of procedures and turnaround times. I think this has been an obstacle in the development in this town metro, because it can take you up to 10 years to have your plans and everything approved. Sometimes they get lost in the municipal offices. So do you have a time frame policy, maybe after 2 months or after a month? Because the way it is now is open-ended. It can take as long as the officials want it to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. There was a hand just next to you, the last one.
He says it's covered.
It's covered, okay. We had rounds. Now, if you raise hands up now, you're going to put me in trouble with the others. Are there any other questions? Because if I know to then there wouldn't be any other questions, then I'll let the panel just close the meeting with the answers. We can just alert just the 2, and then I think from there we don't have any other questions. Roaming mics, this block at the back, yes. Just the 2 gentlemen, then we'll close it.
One, two. Dumelang, MC. Mine are 2 questions. I think they are just but precautionary questions. The first one is about the naval hill. The city manager spoke about the reserve there in relation to tourism as a product. I'm just saying, within a radius of about, I think, 10 kilometers, we have about 7 or 8 game reserves. And if you look at the market and the movement of interest and audience of the game reserves, you'd have them mostly outside the Free State. Now, we need to revisit those type of products. Do we really need that game reserve there? Because even if we go for a game reserve within the city, it would be a very soft game reserve. Now, they won't sell. Please open that space for other proposals. 2, I think the biggest capacity that can, in terms of venues, more Bloemfontein, give Vista, and then Limo. And we're talking of the convention center when we don't have support systems in terms of the private sector. There's a bigger market here in terms of the mass market. Many of you would understand that. But I'm also saying, let's look at what we have and create traffic before we start looking at a 20,000 people capacity venues. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. The last hand at the back, then we'll close it.
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Mzwandile Mbele. I'm not a businessman. I'm a leader of communities as well as a leader of the business people. So my question is simple. Our communities are suffering, especially small businesses, they are suffering. They don't get funding easier. So a simple question to the CFO, the city manager. Can you advise our politicians accordingly to say, let Mangaung Metro create its own funding model so that you fund the upcoming or the SMMEs. It's really difficult for us, especially Mangaung small businesses, to go and apply at the provincial government or provincial agencies or funding agencies or national funding agencies. Why can't we create our own funding model as the Mangaung? The last one is on the issue of expression of interest, which was issued by the municipality. And I saw that it's closing on Friday. Is there a possibility that it can be extended? Because some of the investors or people with financial muscle, they just realize that there is an advert on that. Okay. So can it be extended? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think let's give ourselves a warm round of applause for those questions. I will let the officials lead, but I think let's also expand on the expression of interest for the purposes of lands. And I'll just check the questions that you would have.
Thank you so much, CM, for allowing me to be number one in answering the questions. Let me start with the expression of interest and the request to extend the due date. For now, I would say we have heard you. Probably a written request will suffice so that we can see how many are affected and what is it that can be done to ensure that everybody is included and doesn't miss the opportunity. I also want to emphasize that the opportunities that are listed in the expression of interest are not limited to only those ones. We have emphasized in the property indaba that whatever concept, idea, proposal that you may have, including the gentleman who said he's got a proposal that will also enhance on revenue collection, you are welcome, sir, to submit that proposal through this expression of interest, because it is an open check so that we can start the process of evaluating, assessing, and see which of the proposals are really going to take the city from one point to the other. I'm going to address the question as well of the loan facility by the municipality to support SMMEs. There are restrictions when it comes to that, and hence in my presentation, I spoke about the development of an in-kind or grant-in-aid policy. So we are not in the space of loans or extending credit facilities, but with the little money that the city is intending to set aside, we are looking at having a grant-in-aid policy, and then it will be specific in what areas we want to support our SMMEs. So instead of a borrowing or a facility of that nature, we are considering having a policy where our SMMEs will be targeted. And as I indicated, the policy will go into the detail on how it will apply and who can qualify to be assisted through that. Then, on the dilapidated buildings, I'm not in the town planning. Menoktula probably, she will come up as well to assist. But the point I wanted to make with regards to this is, if you're looking at our UTZ, I gave you the extent of the UTZ. It also includes the upgrade and refurbishment of our dilapidated buildings within the UTZ area. Therefore, once you acquaint yourself with that UTZ strategy, you will get to understand that you can actually benefit from the tax incentives that are linked to dilapidated buildings. There was a question relating to the approach to making proposals and all that. How is the city going to follow on these proposals? What I want to say is all these proposals and any other proposal will come through the expression of interest. And once those expression of interest have gone through the process of evaluation and we are expressing our interest as a city on them, then there will be some form of competitive bidding that needs to be followed to ensure that the offers that we get would have been informed by the market demands. So the process is expression of interest, they will be assessed, and those that are really aligning with what the city is envisaging out of them, then we'll do the engagement that will lead us to the financial offers that must come. Remember, at the end of the day, we want to see what is the value of your investment and how is your investment comparing to the proposals of the other. And this is really informed by MFMA Section 14 that deals with land acquisition. Remember, pre-October 2005, there was a clear process in that regime for the purchasing of land from government. But since the adoption of MFMA as well as the SCM regulations, the process has changed to competitive bidding. But I don't want you to despair. Remember, we are saying there are targeted sectors where we want to promote investment. We also spoken in the incentive policy about preferential treatment on the proposals that are really aligning to our vision as a city. So I'm saying continue doing the expression of interest, it will be evaluated, we'll come to a stage of financial offers and signing those deals as soon as possible. Then there was a question that came on the informal settlements, how many of them are in the current year's budget. I first want to refer the person who asked the question to the Section 71, to the approved budget of the city, which is available on the website of the city. Number two, our monthly reporting in terms of MFMA Section 71, they give the progress. I'm just going to tease you and read from the projects of the current year, and I'm not going to be going through the list of the informal settlements that are planned for upgrade in the current year. Safe to say, we have Klepfontein water connection, we've got Ratau, we have Serwalo, we have, and I'm reading just haphazardly, we've got Botshabelo, Section R, Diversdorp, Extent 17, and many others. The total for that sector in terms of the budget is 266 million. So it's many informal settlements that are planned for upgrade and installation of services in them. That will be all CM that I'll be responding to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Program Director. I think I'll be touching or responding to those questions that were touching the infrastructure. The question was asked, how many informal settlements are there? The ones that were classified up to last year were 51, but with the ones that recently mushroomed, that number is now at 57. Investors were interested, then how do they participate in ensuring that these are developed? To curtail and, of course, ensure that the process doesn't take you long of participating in those, it can be through the expression of interest, which should ensure that once it is considered and approved, you right away can be involved in participating in developing those. The turnaround time has reduced from 257 to 39 days of approving the plans, as it was highlighted here that it was taking even 10 years. That's how frustrating it was, and the number was put at 10. CFO just answered that 21 of the informal settlement are budgeted, of course, for development, or are budgeted to be developed. But we would note that there would be designs that have to be undertaken and insurance services are put in place. So there would be different project processes and project phases to be undertaken, but 21 is identified to the 250 odd that she just spoken to. The third question was that is there infrastructure that is capable and that is enough to cater for the 7 land parcels? We have made it part of our presentation to say we need to do a lot in supporting the SDF 1.9 billion from water, 1.1 from sanitation. However, we understand that it may be cumbersome for it to be invested at the go. So as and when a project pipeline is produced of servicing a specific project with a specific outcome, then capacity will be availed. So it is identified that is a capacity that has to be availed. The monies and the estimates are put in place, which of course they may be affected by fluctuations, but they are very much beneficiary in ensuring that the project can go quicker in a dovetail manner when the development is being done, the bulk capacity that can be brought forth. The only one where we presented was sufficing in as far as bulk is concerned was the airport node. The fourth speaker, or the fourth question, was around the models of approach for investing in energy and in development. And in development, we just said that there is an expression of interest which they can partake through. And then how in the energy space, of course, they can open discussions with which is Centlec. There it's profit sharing, build, operate and transfer, build, operate and maintain within the horizon of about 15 years and not surpassing, of course, the 20 years. And the last one was that the city should optimize on the fourth industrial technologies and the fourth industrial revolution elements, especially the AI. Yes, the city is taking a hit of that. Actually, it has already initially had started. Research exposed the entire South Africa to a certain extent that it had not even capitalized on the third industrial revolution. So we're doing that in an intertwined manner to bring in the fourth industrial revolution. It was discussed broadly in the infrastructure indaba itself, but the idea is to standardize your operations of doing things around the infrastructure and engaging with your clients in a simpler form first, so that then you can program it in an IA or in an artificial intelligence sense, ensuring that it has a base from simplicity, which was the third industrial revolution. However, the city is undertaking this on both of them, so you will understand it's a bit cumbersome. But it was striking the entire South Africa. However, the city is one of those first that are optimizing on that. And of course, they are making a headway as quick as possible. I thank you, Chairperson.
Good afternoon. Are we still awake, ladies and gentlemen? Lona le boramatsete batho ba ditšhelete ha le batlo senyetswa nako ke. Yeah, when I arrived in 2023 as the city manager, of course, one of the key issues that we needed to tackle, which we are still continuing to tackle, is the long process of development plans approvals generally. But in addressing that issue, we needed to sell the bottom line to the employees of Mangaung. The developers would call myself, the executive mayor, and other leaders in the city to say, but I've been having this application for quite a long time. It's not being returned. There's no response. There is no one talking to this application. I'm not getting any joy. I heard some people saying I've applied for a building plan. It's now 2 years. Some people would say 5 years I've been waiting for an approval. Of course, as you get these things, likelihood is that you will want to resolve the ones that you are getting. And then long term, of course, you would want to create a system that is effective and efficient. Some of the officials did not understand this bottom line. They would say, "Re tla mo bontsha. O ile o city manager, re tla mo bontsha." And that's where you are losing the bottom line. When you speed up the approval processes, you enhance investments. You enhance the capacity of the municipality to absorb investments. So that's the primary issue we have focused on. The turnaround times was around 257 days for approvals. And we said, what positions can we fill to speed up this? What processes and systems we can implement to speed up this? And we are currently at around 39 days as the city. The team has worked, under HOD Noktula has worked with the National Treasury and the World Bank. We are still working on that. We are automating even the systems to ensure that we take a shorter period. We would want to lay down the red carpet for investors, not just as part of this summit, but throughout. We remain open to be advised as well. I think the build-up activities as well were part of that. We would want plans to be approved quicker. The bottom line is that when you approve plans quicker, you increase the revenue base of the city. So we are not missing that point. We are not existing as a city to prevent development plans. So that's the bottom line that I gave to the section, to say if we can do it quicker, let's do it quicker. So we are working on that. It's one of our biggest, I've said when I started that the investment process is not about the conferences or summits. It's about the environment that we have created for investments. Some of the developers would say to me, we'd rather go to George, they are quicker. And we go and check how quick is George, what are they doing in George, what are they doing in Joburg, what are they doing in other cities that approve quicker. And we streamline our processes. So we are busy with those processes. It's a never ending process. The expression of interest, I think it has been raised that some of the people would want the extension of date. We'll see what's the nature and extent of applications that we have received. We are not going to reopen or we are not going to play too much with regard to dates, but if the expressions do not meet our expectations in terms of investments, we may in the future relook the process. But of course, we would want to run with what would have been brought to us. Expression of interest is not, you still have today, tomorrow, and the other day. It closes on the 21st. It's not the comprehensive process. I would encourage you. You still have a chance. It's not a very difficult process. It's not comprehensive type of document. It's an expression of interest which will go through other stages. So we would want to encourage you to urgently, if you can, delegate someone to start that process. With regard to, I think the CFO touched on the issue of us assisting entrepreneurs. The difficulty is that we are a municipality that is under financial recovery plan. We draw very minimally in terms of revenue. And remember, local government, in comparison to the province and national, draws majority of its funding from rates and taxes, from its own investments. So the essence of holding this type of investment summit is also to encourage investors, come and increase our revenue base so that we can look after certain things. But yeah, we don't really fund, we've had requests, not just for funding, for bursaries and other things, but we are a city that is under financial recovery plan. And unfortunately, we are unable to provide any money, but there are institutions established nationally which have offices here in the city, which can really assist with regard to financing some of the ventures. I think our SMME office is in a good position to advise in terms of that. So we don't really create businesses, but we our goal as a municipality or as government is to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. So we have called you here and we want to hear from you. How can we make this city investment friendly? Issues of security, issues of the incentives that the CFO has presented on, issues of infrastructure, issues of keeping a city as livable and investor friendly. Those are critical issues for us. We are aware of these issues and we are indeed addressing them. I think colleagues have addressed the other issues in relation to the informal settlements. We have around 57 with only 51 HOD Noktula as being the ones that have that we have really classified as such. You'll correct me, but there is mushrooming of informal settlements, particularly in the east of Mangaung. So we are, of course, trying to build capacity to absorb human settlements or sustainable human settlements. It's a crisis across the country. So when we presented on issues of infrastructure, for instance, HOD must have been touched on the issues of water and sanitation. The upgrading includes the broader aspects of integrated human settlements, the water, the sanitation, the roads, economic opportunities. So we are looking into all these aspects as part of our moving forward. We are tackling them. Every day they come out, we try and arrest them. I hope we have addressed all questions as raised, but some of the issues can, of course, be ventilated during panel discussions as well, because the panel discussions will be on specific issues. Thanks very much, Program Director.
Okay. No, thank you very much, City Manager, for the team, for the questions, the answers that were given. I think it was the question that was asked on the turnaround time. I could see majority of you were going like, yes. I think that's the experience one has had with the city, but we've moved. We are now towards an inclusive economy and we are towards a resilient economy. So from 257 to 39, but obviously would want to get to even lesser. I think the HOD, if we've gotten to lesser than 39 days, you'll be able to update the plenary in that instance. Ladies and gentlemen, in our midst, we also have quite a number of ward councillors. Ward councillors from various parties and PR councillors. If you can just raise your hands so that we just acknowledge your presence. Ward councillors from the African National Congress and those from the Democratic Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us, ward councillors, and those from the Democratic Alliance. Just a few announcements from my side before our plane lands us to lunch. I think on our tables we've been given car stickers. Yes, we are still a law-abiding city, so we are humbly asking you that you just place it in your cars visibly so that they don't get towed. That's the request from the security cluster. So please just ensure that you put them in a place that's visible so that your car is not taken. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of the second part of our session. Let us go to lunch. We'll break for lunch, and please let's come back at 3:15. 15:15, at 3:15. Lunch will be served. There's a exhibition tent that we've been to. The opposite tent will be where lunch will be served. We don't anticipate that it will take long, so it's 45 minutes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a great audience. Enjoy.